Good day, everyone. I am here with the College of Teacher Education Dean, Dr. Libertine de Guzman, and today we will be asking her about leadership, educational leadership. So, ma'am, as an educational leader, how do you ensure that tasks are accomplished with proficiency and excellence?
To ensure that tasks are accomplished with proficiency and efficiency, I look at it as we look into aspects of what? First and foremost, we have to consider the job description. What are expected of a dean, for example, and how are things going to be carried out so that proper implementation of the expected output is clear. So that's one. Second is important also when it comes to efficiency is looking into how things would smoothly be, seamlessly be put into action. So we have to look into the people in the organization, for example, the College of Education. What we are doing, I am actually the implementer of the curriculum, the actual curriculum. So I look into not only on the students, I look into the topics, the subjects to be implemented, and look into even on the physical plant. We look into the classrooms and the conduciveness of the classroom for learning. We look into qualified teachers who should teach the subjects. That's why it's important that putting people in the right place has to be considered. When I say putting people in the right place, we look into the proper qualifications of the teachers to handle the subjects. Because not all of us can handle any of those subjects at any time. Just like we look into specialization. For example, on assessment, I let the math majors like Dr. Craig, like Dr. Banot, Dr. Batucan, Professor Jade, look and teach those courses because that's their area of specialization. So that's one. I look into also the clerical work that's part of being a leader. I don't have to do it personally, but I have to put my people in place also in the office. That's why they're given specific tasks to be accomplished during the day or during the week so that the office can run smoothly even without my presence. And that's very important. Delegation of authority, responsibility, and accountability. Delegation of authority, that's part of leadership because no one holds the monopoly of knowledge. And if you are not there physically, the organization will still run smoothly. So it's the authority, responsibility, authority, and accountability is given to the next person. It could be given to teachers, or it could be given to the assistant dean, or to the people in the office. Delegation is also part of leadership because we put trust on others. As I said, my role as a dean is not absolute in a way that I am the only one who knows everything. But I also consider other people who can do probably chunks of the work of the dean so that it can be delegated and the work can be done collaboratively. What's very important in an organization for a leader is to develop the spirit of trust. Because if there is no trust, and you remove letter T there, what is left is rust. And if there is no trust even to the least, to the janitress, the organization would not function well. So trusting is delegating, and when you delegate, we collaborate also because we keep on checking on on each other and how jobs are done, how delegated authority and responsibility are done. Another one is on leadership. What's important also is good communication. Open communication is very important. That's why even in any relationship, what's very important is dialogue. There is open communication. Sometimes it's hurtful. Reality hurts when you talk about the lapses of the other person, but that's very important because from there, we can move on and plan actions on how we can navigate problems or how we can do our services better. Because the role here is for us to serve our students, to produce the future teachers because this is a pre-service college. Another on trust, on delegation of authority, responsibility. What's very important in organization is giving each person a certain responsibility, and checking is very important. So monitoring and evaluation is very important. Because my part of my delegation is I ask program chairpersons to observe classes of teachers under them, identify teachers under them. That's my authority, my responsibility being delegated to them because I also trust them. And aside from that, I also monitor if whether they did it or not. And part of my monitoring also is looking into the students' feedback of our teachers. We have to make it a point that we listen to what students say about our teachers, how they are being taught by our teachers. Because getting the feedback would also help us improve. That's part of decision making. Leadership is decision making. Leadership is visionary. We look forward on how we can improve. We look forward on how we can have a niche against other colleges, against other TEIs, for example. And we look forward on how we can answer the demands of the community for good teachers. That's why you might, you're already in third year?
Yes.
You might ask about product packaging of our students and how good are our students against other graduates of other universities. That's a trademark that we placed in our students. And that's very important to imbibe the trademark starting from first year until they graduate. So the training should be continuous. There should be a continuity of the training in a way that if we want to mold, just like, when you came in your first year, you probably were a charcoal, slowly molded into a diamond before you graduate. And in the process, it's painful. I know in the process, it's painful because of so many requirements, because of strict, adherence to rules and regulations, because of, so many things that you have to do as outputs probably. And that's one way of hardening and refining you as, to become a good teacher. Education as life. We keep on learning until we die. So it's very important talking about strategies, methodologies. We incorporate all over kanang eclectic ba ang method and approach. So we don't only consider one strategy, one approach even in life, but we make use of different approaches because of problems, because of just like the uniqueness of students, uniqueness of individuals. Even in teaching, we look into differentiated instruction now because not all learners learn from A to Z. There are others who learn from Z to A or T to X and Y and A, something like that. So, eclectic method, eclectic approach is very important. And if we go back to the teaching philosophy, which should be the basis of the teacher and his direction in teaching, the teaching philosophy should be firmly grounded to life, and life itself.
So the next question, ma'am, is why do you think that it is important to establish a supportive environment and build rapport within your members to achieve your organizational goals?
Creating a supportive environment is not easy, especially if a leader thinks that he knows many things. But it's important also that when we level the playing field, we consider others. Let's say collaborative approach in management. I believe in top-down management, down-up. That's the Japanese approach in management. Down to up. And that's one way of, the one way there is listening to the suggestions, the comments from the members of the group. Because as I said a while ago, there's no such thing as a person having the monopoly of knowledge. If we can decide collaboratively, of course I lead. But I let my people help me in the decision making because there might be aspects that I might overlook and make a wrong decision or not a very effective decision. It's very important to listen from them, their inputs, especially the young ones because for now, even in teaching and learning, the young ones are very creative and very techy. So we listen from them, their inputs, so that in our decision, we don't only consider what we learned, what we experienced, but what is now. Because the decision is to be made for the students who are with us now. So collaborative and decision making. It doesn't mean I don't decide because they did not give their inputs. I decide, but I listen to them and I ask for their opinions. And I also give them the chance to lead, although that part of their small, leadership responsibility is also my accountability. Still, we go back to delegation.
How about in terms of information dissemination, ma'am? Do you think that it's important to have an effective information dissemination?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's very important. That's why we made use of the social media now. I asked Professor Maravilla to help us on that, and I also asked the SG to help us on that because, as I said, if me personally is only the one who will do the dissemination of information, it might be very limited. So we channel it also to different, people with care responsibilities, like the governor, like the advisor of the student government, because it's the student, so it's very fast when it comes to information dissemination. And we even also ask the presence of the student government in our meetings if there is a need for their presence. Because we look at them also as a very important clientele, a very important stakeholder in the teaching learning process. And we cannot survive on our own without the students because there would be no teachers without the students.
My question, ma'am, is how do you define a good leadership?
How do I define a good leader, a good leadership? A good leadership is when the wheels keep on rolling in the organization. If the organization is stable, static, stagnant, leadership is not good. Coupled with that is also probably chaos, a little chaos. And that's part of, a situation, a normal situation when you rock the boat, but the boat has to keep on moving forward.
My second question, ma'am, is how do you address misunderstandings and lapses within the organization?
Well, I look at misunderstanding as a healthy situation because when there is misunderstanding, there was communication. Because if there is no communication, then there would be no misunderstanding. What's important is we clarify misunderstanding and we talk about it. That's why I said, even in any relationship, even with your boyfriend, there is a need for dialogue.
Ma'am Dean, as a seasoned educational leader yourself, what strategies do you use to ensure and see to it that the final output is a collaborative effort?
One very important thing there is that, as I said, Denina, because we have the trust and confidence of the people, you trust your people. What is important is involvement. It might not be everyone, but involvement of those people with concerns on specific tasks and involvement of people who have the capability on specific tasks.
But in the context of making decisions, ma'am, what key factors do you consider for you to arrive at a sound and timely decision?
Yeah, timeliness is very important when decisions have to be made. It doesn't have to be very fast, but a effective decision is very important. But I tell you, in leadership, when you are a leader, you bite the bullet, so to speak. What does that mean? There are decisions made that might be very painful, that you have to be accountable for your decisions. It might be expensive sometimes, but what is important is that a good leader should stand for his decision and not deny or wash his hands of probably a very bad decision, but has to stand for that and stand corrected. To accept if ever the decision was not really that good, to accept that that decision was not, well thought of. It's part of
Good afternoon.
accountability.
My question is, why is accountability crucial for an effective leadership?
Because nobody would like to have a leader who doesn't accept his decisions and accept faults. When we talk about accountability, we go back to I bite the bullet and this is my decision. Even if this is collective, but I have to stand for this. I have to defend on this. I have to defend for this. But the point is, if there's something wrong, I also have to admit it. Because leadership is humility.
Thank you, Denise. So for the last question, as an educational leader, how do you ensure respect or responsibilities of your team members while holding them accountable of their actions?
Putting people in the right place is very important. That's why if we give accountabilities to individuals, I have to make it a point that they have the capability. I'm not going to assign a person to do something where he is not capable, he is not ready, he is not prepared. But it's very important that the leader knows his people very well, knows the personal and the professional qualifications of the person. Though there are times that they are not ready for that responsibility, that's why it's very important to nurture them. What does I mean? What do I mean with that? It means that kaya pang bago pa. Like a very good example is I look ahead that one of these days they're going to take over the reins of teaching. And so to train them, since they are not trained for that, in formal schooling, you have educational management as the master's degree, and then the doctorate is educational management to lead as a school organization like this. But I understand the limitation that their master's and their doctorate is in another field. But I see the capability in them, and so I nurture that. I let them lead a small group, like being a program chair. And from there, cultivate so that they will become good leaders in the future. Balik na butas, as I said, nobody holds the monopoly of knowledge. And I'm going to age. Looking into succession, I have to look for the younger generations, the capability of the younger generations to take over the reins in the future. And that's very important because nobody also will stay here until the age of 100. But there's always a limitation of time, that there's only one lifespan for a worker. But that means it's very important that along the way, the young ones, the succeeding generation is given already the chance to lead, so that they would be able to propel on their own when they are ready. And when the right time comes for them to take over leadership. Because I believe that even, as a teacher, they already have the skills in leadership. Being the teacher in the classroom is already being a leader. If they become good teachers in the classroom, they can lead. What is important is to help them develop their skills and their confidence. So to be able to do that, they should be given the chance to lead small groups first. I know others would that, especially the young ones, they would not like to be a good leader, to be a leader in an organization, because this is very complicated. And most often you forget yourself and your family when you lead, because leadership is expensive. Expensive in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of heart. But when they get used to it, they will be ready to take over bigger responsibilities. Being a chairman, being a leader of a committee, that's one way of honing them. Practicum ritso. And from there, it's very important that the leader, a dean like me, has to monitor and evaluate. We do that. We give feedback. Announcer naman to, kumusta naman to, we're not doing it on time. So what needs to be done? We have to do it right, we have to do it fast, because that's expected from us. So, naagod ng reminder, naagod ng monitoring ang kumusta naman to. Kaya hindi mo check on, wala mo mahita mo. So that's one way also of helping them grow. Muna akong gibukat para nila kay mupuli na sila. I also have my lifespan as a teacher. Sila may kasunod. So yan na po ang sunod. Hindi na pwedeng dito na pupulit na lang. Okay.
Thank you.
So that wraps up our interview. Thank you, Ma'am Dean, for your time and effort. We learned a lot from you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.